Hello, everybody, and welcome to Collegian Conversations. My name is Alex Hoban, the photo editor with the Collegian. Today, we are going to be talking with...
My name is Ash Petrie, and I'm feature editor.
My name's Cheyenne, and I'm one of the campus editors, Trinity River.
I'm TJ Favela. I am the illustrator for the Collegian.
Known for many of our editorial cartoons.
Yes, ma'am.
And today we are going to be talking about a phenomenon that we've been noticing in media lately, specifically for young men. They are, we've been seeing this new Esquire report coming out about reporting on what media young men are taking in. And it found that a lot of it's really opinionated. So today we're just going to be talking about why we think that's starting up, what we've noticed in just our own perusal of media, things like that. So what do y'all think? Because I have an opinion about how many male-dominated so-called alpha podcasts there are. And I've noticed how a lot of them are trying to portray this specific narrative that as a man, you have to have this milestone by this age, and you can only get worth by doing this way of doing things.
Wake up at 6 a.m., I take my vitamins, and then I drink a cup of water, and then I go on a 10-mile run, and then I do this, and then I go and I do that, and then now I am a billionaire.
Yeah, and you are not doing it, and
that makes you the problem.
Yes, exactly. So I've noticed that a lot and everything like that, especially when they're usually selling a class of saying this is how we're going to do it. And it really feels like it's preying on young men just trying to figure out their place in the world. What do you think?
I mean,
As a man,
yeah.
I mean, I honestly, I do. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts that focused on that, but I think it's not healthy. You know, and I honestly, I really do believe that it causes a lot of young men to actually be more depressed in the long run, because obviously that's the thing that I never liked about some of these podcasters is because they already had money. And the thing is, working out, and obviously working out, you don't necessarily need to have money. You can go for a run, or you can make your own weights at home or something. But, it's the money and the free time that just a lot of normal Americans just don't have, because we have to constantly go to work. We have to constantly, stay in schools, be with our families. And, I don't know, as someone who used to listen to that kind of stuff, I had to stop just because it was just messing with my mindset. Because here I was at 24, 23, not doing what those people were doing. There even nowadays there are YouTubers who are 18, 19 years old that are driving I don't even know what fancy cars, McLarens and Lambos, and I was over here I'm never gonna be that. I'm never gonna be able to go to that level. So, I don't know. I really wish more podcasts could be more realistic, instead of so you got to be a man. What do men do? We work out.
Well, and I think that's an interesting thing is women have talked about, for ages now, about how the media portrays us as this specific thing, and you have to be pretty, and you have to do this, and you also have to cook and clean, but also now with it being the year it is, you also are a businesswoman, and you're the moneymaker, and you're all of these things. You
can't be this size and that size and weigh this much and weigh that much and look this way.
And for women, it's more, I think, we maybe internalize it a little bit differently. I mean, obviously we do than men, whereas men, it's we're going to get angry, and we're going to come together and be angry about the place we're in. And I feel like that's more of what I'm seeing, right, is these young men coming together and being more angry with each other because they're not whatever it is, or whatever these podcasters are saying to them, they may resonate with that without really knowing what it is. And then they all have this common ground of this thing that they're not really completely educated on, I guess. I don't know. It's just a lot. Let's say what it is. It's alt-right. It's alt-right. It's aggressive. It's threatening. It's territorial. It's
being based, being red-pilled.
Yeah. And I think it started kind of with the incel mindset a little bit, where the internalization of that self-consciousness of I'm not that, so women will never want me, to then it shifting to this, well, beat it to the man almost, like like it's a very aggressive nature, and it's instead now attacking and pointing the finger at everything else for their misfortune.
Yeah.
But saying that it's everyone else pointing the finger at them for their misfortune. It's really weird. It's really weird. I don't like it.
Yeah, and I feel like with a lot of them, they have an inherent sense of like trying to give you value, but then immediately take it away. Like they're like, you are a man. This is how you're supposed to live. This is how you're supposed to treat women. This is how you're supposed to do this, that, and the third. But then immediately taking it away, like, but you're not that. And that's why you have to buy my course. That's why you have to stick around and watch my podcast, because I can teach you. And this is a phenomenon I've really seen with a lot of young men, because it feels like even those with like a good support system, even those that maybe don't have a good support system, I find that if you just Google how to be a good man,
Oh my.
you get so many. Yeah,
Yeah, do
look
that
it
right
up.
now,
Look it
please.
up
Sorry.
now. If you look up how to be a good man, you get a mixture. It's not like of course, it's not like a WikiHow article, but you get a mixture of red pill content. She's looking it up now.
So on medium.com, this was from June of 2023. But
Oh,
it's
nice.
the 10 tips to help you be a better, stronger, more desirable man.
See, why is it automatically going to desirable? Why?
Because people just want to be loved, and people just want to feel like they're depended on. You know, I get that too, even as a man myself. You know,
You're a man?
but you know, as a man myself, there's this weird stigma that you need to be a provider. You need to be depended on. You know, and even for me, like I wake up sometimes stressed out, waking up thinking like I'm not a good enough provider. I'm not a good enough supporter. You know, and it's not my fault. It's just the world that we live in. You know. But the thing is, especially with a lot of young men, and this just goes back to mental health, you know, it's a lot easier being negative than it is being positive, you know. And I've even heard that being negative in of itself is a drug, you know.
That's why cognitive behavioral therapy is a thing, because it, in like a short like meaning of it, it's basically you go in and retrain your brain to, instead of saying I'm not good enough, you're saying I am good enough. You're like having to rewire your brain completely to stop thinking negative thoughts and actually start thinking positive thoughts.
Right. But it's also just this weird mindset. For some reason, I don't know why, but people, I guess it's like a pride thing. And it's happening a lot even now, especially with like your Joe Rogans and your Andrew Tates. No one ever wants to take responsibility. Everyone just wants to blame others for their problems. And that's, I think that's the core issue.
Very victimized.
Yeah.
Like everyone has this like victim mentality. It's like, oh, woe is me. When in reality, if you stopped, oh, woe is me, and just actually like thought about how to be a better person, not necessarily a better man, but a better person, you know, you can kind of make your life a little more better, you know.
And I think that goes into what Ash was talking about with that incel mentality, because it's inherently preying on young men's minds. And not only young men, but young women as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like with the trad wife thing right now.
Yes.
The what?
Trad wife.
Traditional wife aesthetics.
Which, I mean, your kitchen is amazing. But I don't want to be stuck in the kitchen like that.
And, you know, I'm kind of in the same situation. My dad and my mom's, like, the way that they live their life is completely opposite than normal conventional values. Like, my dad loves to cook, he loves to clean, and my mom loves to watch football and, like, have a drink and things like that. So I think that's one of the reasons I get so confused and kind of frustrated with a lot of this content, because why is it, in my mind, why is it such a thing for men to have to feel like this? But again, I'm coming from this perspective, and I understand like that inherent need to be a provider, and inherent, like, that's a societal thing that's just been baked into after years and years.
Right. And it goes back to like how things were in, 50 years ago. The nuclear family, you know, the man would go to work and the wife would stay home and clean. And, obviously times have changed, but for whatever reason, that traditional standing still is in everybody's mind. And I think a lot of it's family pressure, because at least for me, coming especially from a Hispanic family, where a lot of those traditions are still very common in even America and in Mexico, you feel this pressure because even like from my own dad, like I want to be an illustrator. Well, I am an illustrator, but more as a job. I want to be a graphic designer, but for him that makes no sense. He comes from a different time period. It comes from a different culture. And so I feel that pressure. It's like, man, maybe college was a mistake. Maybe I should just go and work at a warehouse and be miserable. But at least I'm, normal, quote unquote.
Yeah.
To the most people. And I think that's really what it is. People want to feel normal. They don't want to feel different. Kind of like how you were saying people give you looks because you don't like to cook, but your ex-husband did. I feel like everyone, when you say those things and people give you looks, you feel this anxiety, like I'm different. I'm not normal. And I think that's why a lot of young men get these weird, like, I have to do what the real men are doing because I want to be normal.
Well, and it's all in the media too. I mean, like, you have Channing Tatum, Ryan Reynolds, like you have all of these, it's what women deal with too, right? We're constantly being shown these perfect people and their perfect lives, and we're not that. And I think what I was getting at earlier is like women have that community. We have that place. There's all of these, there's clubs, there's groups at jobs. Like women have learned to come together, right? And work together and be together. And I don't think men have gotten that. And or maybe they have, right? We're seeing it now, but it's only a very aggressive group that's coming together that they are immediately on the defense. Like I went out a few weeks ago with some of my friends to a bar and a guy like hit on us, whatever. And I just didn't say anything, but we just kind of ignored it because it's a bar, it's lively, there's a lot of things happening. But then he just immediately called us queer and told us that we were weird and then like walked away. And it was at a dive bar, and we're in Texas, obviously, so you kind of get an idea of, okay, I know what they think about me now. But either way, it's like that immediate, oh, you don't like me because you're the problem.
Yeah.
That's what is the issue, right? It's not that. I'm out with my friends, I'm having a good time, but I can tell that aggressive like behavior comes from always being shown that that's what works. And then never being told, because I don't think men have safe spaces to discuss these things with one another, because if you don't, you're
not manly enough.
You're not manly enough.
Yeah.
You're not this. You can't pull.
Because real men don't talk about their feelings.
Exactly. Yeah. And so now we're seeing, because they're all bottled up inside, that they are aggressive and they are just tending to these aggressive outlets because it's the only thing showing that raw emotion that they have that they're not able to show themselves. Or at least that's how I perceive it, because that's the only way I can rationalize it for myself, to be like, okay, they just all need to talk with one another and they'll be fine, or
but like
something.
with you talking about how they immediately went to calling you queer and a slang word, it seems to be a common thing whenever men get rejected, or some men get rejected, they immediately want to call that person a name.
Yeah.
Because they're not
Well,
desirable.
it's because it's like, to them, they, watching these podcasts, exactly, or the media, to them, they follow the steps. They have the muscles, they have the good looks. So the fact that, I spent all this money to be desirable to women, and now women don't want me. So yeah, it's their fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
Yeah.
You can do the outer work, but not the inner work.
Right.
I paid for that class. I followed the steps.
Yeah. Then why are women not just jumping themselves at me?
Yeah. And here's the thing.
Because it's probably like, the
We
name
have
calling.
types.
Yeah.
Everybody has
Yeah.
types.
Or maybe you just smell weird.
But also, I'm out with my friends.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I'm out with the girls.
That whole thing of that safe spaces conversation, though, because here's the thing. through Andrew Tate, through Joe Rogan's. I'm going to focus on Andrew Tate, though, for a second, because he had that whole thing called the War Room, inherently aggressive title. But he used that as a way to bring men together. Now, like we were talking about, in an inherently aggressive way. As a way to say, like, this is how you're going to make money. This is how I'm going to give you the key to unlock the system of the rat race, or whatever they say. This is very common for a lot of alpha mentality podcasts to use those kind of words. So they're trying to find, that's the most interesting phenomenon. They're trying to find safe spaces for themselves.
They're trying to come together and just be men, but they're doing it the wrong way.
Well, they're doing it in a way that is profiting for one specific person rather than helping them all together. Because especially like when Andrew Tate became first like popular in the media scope for like podcasts and stuff like that, I remember looking at those websites and it was just all very aggressive imagery, like them out shooting guns, them out what would appeal to the typical like you're saying, the more aggressive provider male.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you have all these shots of these guys sitting there looking like they're talking to each other. None of them look like they're engaged. None of them look like they're there actually getting something out of this. And it's not just Andrew Tate. There were these things that I saw that messed with my mind. It was a bunch of young men and older men for like two different camps that would go into a death boot camp, death in quotes, obviously, but like a very insane boot camp where they would be put to their absolute limits. Like they would be out there in the rain, sun, whatever. Basically, like we have, like Cheyenne, you're a veteran. It was a worse version of boot camp, basically, and like military training.
Which is funny because in boot camp we're all treated equally.
Exactly.
Or we're supposed to be.
And it's only men at these, and they barely get to sleep. And
my thing is, if that's what you want to do, wow.
yeah.
You know?
Power to you.
But when I say aggressive, I don't mean like that, you know?
Really?
And I think that that's okay, right? Some people and, men do tend to sometimes have more aggression in them. They want to punch things or whatever. Like, I don't think that's inherently bad. And I think, again, they haven't been given this proper safe spaces to be able to release that emotion. Yeah. It's only through sports or whatever it may be for them to be able to do that as kids. But they're not given a space to talk about, okay, well, why do you want to punch?
Oh, yeah.
That's never asked. It's just, oh, Chad's punching the wall again. That's crazy.
It's not what led him to want to do that.
And so because, that's never been laid out or discussed, I feel like, and I don't know, TJ, if you can chime in on that, if you feel like anybody, if that maybe, if what I'm saying sounds fair, but I think men just do tend to have aggression. So if they want to do sports and do crazy boot camps, so be it. Don't use it to indoctrinate young men.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Does this come from generational trauma?
Oh, I'm sure.
It comes from generational trauma.
Because
sure.
The way my dad was raised, he kind of done similar things with me and my brothers, and my brothers being males, they kind of had a different way that they were taught by my dad as opposed to me and my mom. Mm-hmm. And so I can kind of see that because now, because my middle brother, he's in he's done therapy and stuff, and he's like, oh, I know whatever dad did wasn't meant to harm us. It was just kind of what he knew. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of sad that we have to think that way, and that our parents are only basically doing what they've been taught. And now that we're in the world where things are talked about more, at least for my parents, they've become a lot more understanding when it comes to hey, we didn't like the way you did this when we were younger. They're like, oh, I recognize that now. Yeah. Which is fantastic for my parents to be able to hey, we're sorry. But it does come into a little bit of the generational trauma. Yeah. And how.
Because, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
With just how men are taught. And then at the same time, I wonder if it depends on South versus the North.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because, the people I met in the military who were, New Englanders, they definitely had a different kind of mindset as opposed to, people I knew in Texas. Mm. One of my good friends, his dynamic at home was, his mom was, the final say. And his dad was just kind of, there type thing. Mm. And I think but at the same time, I knew another guy, he was the only boy, and he kind of felt like he had to be the provider because they didn't have their dad in their life. Mm-hmm. But even then, he still was able to kind of have, in a way, a feminine side for that, which in like the things that I've noticed, those men who don't have moms, or not moms, don't have dads, like are seen like more emotional or more feminine. Because a good friend of mine growing up, it was just him and his mom, and at times he was kind of a crybaby. It's sad to say, like saying it now, but like in the long run, like realizing it now, you're like, oh, maybe he just was more in tune with his feelings because his mom gave him a safe space.
Yeah.
That actually is kind of interesting that you bring that up, because now that you're saying that kind of does make some sense. That ironically, I think most men who don't have like dads in their life, not saying that they don't have like male parental figures, because I feel like every person needs to have, like, especially if you're a young man, you need to have some kind of role model, because I really feel like that kind of helps build you up as a person.
It's the blueprint. It's what you're trying to achieve.
But similar to what Cheyenne was saying, I had both my parents growing up, but I had a lot of sisters, and I had like, I mainly hung out with my sisters more than I did my brothers, which I feel like helped me understand women a little more compared to like if I was with my brothers. I feel like I would be more aggressive. I would be more like against my feelings. But I talked to, and then even my wife, who has all sisters, I've talked to all of them. So I feel like, most men really need to have women figures in their lives to kind of help them understand that it's okay to have feelings, and you have to understand that, as men and women, our minds are just built a little different, but it's okay to take from both. Doesn't matter if you're male or female or whatever you identify as, you need to kind of absorb everybody.
Yeah. And that blueprint is what I'm really sticking on, because sometimes, like, there are plenty of young men out there who might not have that stable of a parental figure, like a male parental figure, or just like a dad figure. And I feel like those would be the young men who are going on and trying to find something to say, how do I be a good man? And that's why I was talking about like Googling how to be a good man.
I really want to read the lead to this.
Okay, yeah, here.
So the lead is, so many men are weak, emasculated, unhealthy, and lonely in this modern era. Divorce rates are at an all-time high. Children are being raised without fathers. Innocent people are being victimized while the perpetrators are being treated like victims.
See, that right there, that came up when you Googled that. Imagine you're a young man with an iffy father figure in your life, and you're trying to just figure out, how can I become a good man, that like someone that I can be a good provider, that I can be a good husband, that I can be this, that, and the third. And that's what you read.
Oh, it just gets worse, because it says the only thing that can keep these demons at the door is a strong man. Okay, the problem is men don't know how to be strong anymore. There are few role models for men. The few actually good, strong role models are being attacked and demonized. This was written by a man. Like, the writer is a dude.
And that's why I'm saying, it's just so sad to see, because sometimes all they're wanting is some sort of stability. They're wanting to find some blueprint to take off of, to figure out how to be a good person, whether for themselves, whether they're for their family, like trying to help their mom around the house or anything like that. And that's what you see. You see that. You see Andrew Tate. You see, of course, this is the exaggerated version of this, but just the fact that there are plenty, and I know some of them, some young men who have almost fallen into that hole, and who are using very violent language against women and very violent language in their day-to-day, even though they're surrounded by good women figures in their life, because they're watching this media. It's right there on your phone. You can, like we just did, Google it.
That was the first article that came up.
Google
when
it.
I Googled how to be a man.
5 seconds.
And it was from 2023.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's just such a sad thing right now. And
it's sad because it seems like we're still stuck like 40 years ago with how men and women are still supposed to be seen, but we're in 2025, which we should have been more progressive.
Yeah.
Or should be more progressive, but we make a few steps forward and then we take 10 steps back. And it just seems like this recurring cycle of nothing ever really coming together in a positive way.
Well, and I think, and I know when I know when this is argued, like people tend to get very defensive, and there's a lot of there's a lot of backlash to it because it is not only just speaking in a generality. Humans are not black and white. We're very gray. We're a spectrum.
Yes.
Like we are all over the place. However, at the end of the day, men and women, while yes, generally speaking, we're all capable of the same things, we're not at the same time. Like we're different in very unique ways. And within relationships, and not only just romantic relationships, but friendships and everything else. Because I know so many men who think that you can't be friends with women. They're only dateable. And like,
Oh, it's still a huge thing. There was a guy that I was on the ship with that would make multiple like Instagram posts or Facebook posts about how like women and men couldn't be friends.
which it's just like, whatever. But
Yeah.
either way, like there are differences. And in this country, because we're just so weird, but we really hone in on the equality thing. And I think with women, the shift of us going into the workforce, us now being kind of at the same level as men, that's when men felt threatened. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess I can understand, for years or, however long, women were never working next to them. And then now here they are, right? Oh my God. What is Susan doing in the office?
Right.
But I mean, I don't know why they feel threatened. And it's just perpetually continued to today because we, again, with feminism and then very insane feminism and just then this back and forth of both sides arguing like, we're equal, we're not equal. We're equal in these ways, we're not equal in these ways. What even is equality? At the end of the day, I'm not capable of what Alex or Cheyenne are capable of. And they are, again, not capable of the same things that I am. Mm-hmm. But we're all women.
Right.
And just as the same, you and me, TJ, are probably capable at certain things in the same way.
Right.
But there's a lot of other things that we're not capable of
Yeah.
as each other. Like,
The thing is, I think for men, why they would feel threatened is because you have to understand that if women, and I'm playing devil's advocate here,
that's fine.
that as women, if you could do what men could do, what would you need us for? If that makes sense. Because men feel threatened because if you could do what a man's job is, and, let's say, as a woman, you don't want to have kids. You just want to, live your own life and be with whoever, man or female, whoever. That lessens the dating pool. Because at the end of the day, we're animals, We are mammals. And in our animalistic instinct, men feel like they need to have a partner and they need to, reproduce. That's how the mind works. And if the women are like, nah, I can take care of myself. I don't need a man to take care of me. Then we get this weird scared, like, oh no, like the dating pool is draining. I live in a small town, and if all the women can do what men can do, they can, change a car tire, they can change their oil just fine, or they can do their own plumbing. Well, they don't need me. And the thing is, I'm a terrible human being. I'm insensitive. I'm selfish. I smell weird. The only thing I have going for me is I know how to change my tire and change my oil, and I'm tall and strong. But if a woman can do all that, what do I need? So, men, I feel like get scared and feel threatened, and then they don't know how to show those emotions, so they just get angry. Mm-hmm. And they feel like if I'm bigger than, if I can make a woman feel small, then she's gonna want to feel dependent on me. And that's why a lot of men do that. They talk down to women like you're bad, you're worthless, because then they'd be, oh, maybe he's right. Maybe I should just stay with him so that I can't be my own person.
Whoa, that's all that. That's genuinely that's the whole point of those dating coaches.
Yeah.
Each and every one of them, that's what they preach. You have to make it's basically psychological warfare.
It is. And then as a young man, 18 to 21-year-old, your brain's still not developed.
Mush.
Exactly. And then you're still immature. You haven't had any real world experience. So, I mean, as a young person who's immature, doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know what life has for them, here comes this big, strong man on YouTube. Hey, kid, get anchor arms. you know,
Or buy my course.
exactly. Like,
Call women terrible things.
what was that thing? It was like, now I'm a jerk and everybody loves me.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
my God.
Yes.
And that's really what sells these kids. It's just like, man, he drives this huge expensive car and he's only like in his 30s. I'm only 18. I got to start
See,
now.
what's funny is like that doesn't matter to women.
Nope.
That's why.
Oh,
That's why
absolutely
we
not.
turn you down.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
I don't care if you have the muscle. Like, I mean, I don't personally, and like, it doesn't matter to me if you have money. It doesn't matter to me if you have a car. Are you a good person? Are we gonna like do things that interest the both of us? Can we learn from each other? And like, if it's an immediate like, hey toots, you want a shot? It's like, no, I'm sorry, but
Do guys still say toots?
I don't
Probably.
know.
If
Wouldn't that be
somebody
fun?
It would
walked
be.
up to me at a bar and said, "Hey, toots."
Actually, I'm going home with you.
Yeah, you know,
Actually,
I would probably
bring
let them
back
buy me a
toots.
drink just because it would have like surprised me and be like, "Toots, okay, you know what? It's a little different."
I just think like it's just so interesting to like hear what these guys say. These like you know, people who are training men to be good husbands or to be better men, and like when it comes to just honestly anything, like their jobs, their relationships, their family, it's like the things that they tell them to do are the exact opposite of what they should be doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially when it comes to women.
Well, that's also like, yeah, men are telling men these things, but there are still a group of women that are like, I want a man that's
Yeah.
like
And that's
muscular
fine, like-
and is rich and can pay all my bills and I can just sit and do my job and blah 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 blah. Like, there's still that group.
Then find them.
Yeah,
If
genuinely.
that's what you want, then find. Like, I think that's like my biggest thing when you say like the dating pool lessons. No, the dating pool of the person you don't want lessons.
Yeah.
Like the individual you aren't interested in is now out of your dating pool,
Well-
and it opens your dating pool.
Well, actually, I think it actually goes back to the whole argument of like educated and uneducated. Because if a woman is smart, she'll know I'm being manipulative.
Oh yeah, I can. Ooh, don't even.
Catch them like a mile away.
That's,
Yeah.
So I think that's why they also feel threatened. Because if a woman's got brains and is capable of being independent and take care of themselves, then you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's also a core reason why men are this way. Like, I gotta be tough because I gotta beat these people down.
There are still a group of men that like successful women, and they like to look for those women that can provide for themselves. Because then I guess that the weight gets taken off of their shoulder of being like, okay, you know, I can provide in different ways.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, if I'm, you know, whatever, like if I get the education, it doesn't even matter, right? Because we can be successful within a relationship or friendship or this family or whatever it may be with both of our strengths helping each other. So if my strength is my education and my strength is my job, your strength can be whatever it is you want to do. Like if you want to be strong, manly man, go be a wood carver. Like I don't know, there's so many
That would
other
actually be
things.
pretty cool to be a wood
Yeah,
carver.
like build me a couch.
Right? Make me some awesome looking art.
Like there's so many ways that a man can be providing and a man can be strong and a man can be powerful, and it doesn't have to be controlling.
And it doesn't have to demean women
It doesn't.
and be inherently violent.
And it's just crappy because these dudes online are just
Right.
Well, that,
Preaching.
Well, that's the thing too, because like I said, this just goes back to the whole argument. Because like we could have a life like that, you know, exactly how you're describing it. But the minute you tell somebody, "Oh yeah, no, my wife works. Like she has this like really big job, business, and like she cooks and cleans, and like I just make stuff for her." And then like you know, and you have those other dudes who are like, "Man, you're a wuss. You know, you need to be on top. You need to be the
here's
one."
what you say. It seems like you need to go to therapy, John. Work through some of your aggressive, patriarchal
But
man stuff. Oh well, I just think that's a big thing is men's mental health.
Yes.
Like don't go to YouTube or Google.
yes.
Like actually try and find help, because again, if there's no right or wrong answer with how to deal with your emotions or how to cope with childhood traumas or generational traumas, it's specific to each person. So if
Right.
punching a bag is what helps you, great, but if it's not, maybe find something else.
Yeah, like listen to
And-
music or you
yeah.
know go out for a walk. You know,
Yeah.
there are plenty of ways to get rid of let out the steam, you know. And like you said, I feel like everybody's got some kind of trauma, you know. We just all need to kind of learn how to, because, you know, the thing is, you can't forget trauma. No matter, you know, you can go to therapy all you want. It's going to be there.
Instead of letting it weigh you down, you should figure out how to let it
with
lift you.
Yeah, like, or use it as inspiration to build yourself instead of just sitting there and like letting it take over your mind or your life. Just, you got to kind of find ways to not forget about it, but work with it.
Yeah.
You know?
And the thing is, having the wherewithal to go seek those sources of therapy, having the wherewithal to understand there are different ways, that's not what a young man just coming into the world is going to automatically think of. And I think that's one of the issues that we're seeing. And I think that's really one of the things that's sinking their teeth into the young men of America, or just in general, is just that thought of, these people, I don't know how to ask for therapy right now. No one's really offered that to me right now as at this young age, maybe not. But these people are on my phone and they're telling me the way to win. And they're telling me the way that I can be a good man. And I am going to follow this. Will they pay for it later? Maybe. Because of the things that are being told to them and the way that they are going to go forth and interact with others. And in the long run, they will probably see some consequences to that.
We can only hope.
We can only hope, because it's then when they see those consequences that they realize, hey, this wasn't what I needed. This wasn't the blueprint I should have followed. Let me go seek out other sources that can really get me to where I need to be.
And it's not like they don't have role models that are openly talking about mental health and all these other things that kind of go into the realm of being a man, but those people get overshadowed.
Yes.
Or they get talked negatively about.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, no, you're not supposed to have feelings.
Yeah.
You can't feel that way.
Oh, your mom's telling you to do this? No. That men don't go to therapy. Come on now.
Right.
Just go to the gym for a little bit.
Go to the batting cages and just hit the baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that therapist doesn't know nothing. They're just going to tell you to just be happy, and then you're going to go home and you're going to spend all this money. No, don't spend all that money.
No,
There's
you
a
don't need to
takeaway
do
of
that.
This, therapy is great and everybody should be going.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's plenty of resources everywhere. Hospitals have plenty of counselors. I'm sure you could even look online. There's free resources.
I mean, at TCC,
Yes.
we have counselors.
Yeah, the TCC has free counseling sessions that you can sign up for here on TCC campus.
You can see it on flyers, and there's a little QR code that you scan, and it'll bring you up to the main page, and you go in there and fill out like what day you're available and which campus you're on, and you can get directed to talking to somebody for an hour.
Yeah.
And you can go in there and just talk about anything and everything. It's the hour about you, pretty much.
So, in total, there are resources, especially if you are a young man coming into TCC now, listening to this. Go find those resources. Talk with your peers. Talk with your teachers. Talk with the counselors. Talk with if you're finding yourself in a crossroads of wondering who to talk to and just figure out, where am I at this point in my life? There are plenty of people that you can talk to that aren't on your phone and aren't trying to sell you a course.
Even if they are on your phone, there are people out there that will listen and help you in a positive manner. It may be a little harder to search for, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
It's not unattainable.
And I think that is going to be the wrap up for us. As always, this was the Collegian Conversations. My name is Alex Hoban.
Ash Petrie.
Cheyenne.
And TJ Favela.
Wonderful. And we will see you in the next issue. Make sure you pick up a copy. Thanks. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.